Preaching has certain kinds of distinctives about it that are different from other kinds of communication. Preaching is different even than teaching, though oftentimes in congregational life there's a certain kind of style of preaching which is a more didactic or teaching form. But preaching is a unique kind of communication because its point is somehow to proclaim truth, to incite questions, to provoke, to engender this moment of particular kind of openness to hearing the Spirit, where there is perhaps less distraction. And as a consequence, I think the kind of leadership that is exercised through preaching is very particular. It's a different kind of leadership than someone would have standing in front of the church council, for example, and providing a moderatorial kind of leadership, or the kind of leadership that you might have as you are leading some other kind of program in the life of the church, or the kind of you might have doing planning, or a number of other places where leadership, defining reality, helping people to understand the backdrop against which they may be needing to make decisions or may need to be making new choices takes place. But this is a moment where there is a declaration, a proclamation of God's Word in the middle of it all, in a way where there's particular attention being given to this moment of spoken word. It's interesting to me that in an entertainment age and so forth, where preaching seems like such an odd communication style, speaking at people for 15 to 45 minutes or whatever people are going to do. I mean, it's just such an odd communication style when you stop to think about it. Even when you're using, even for pastors who are using various kinds of illustrative and interesting technological material and are therefore trying to be more entertaining, it's still an odd style of communication. And yet, the interesting thing for me is that as we become a more fragmented culture, as culture itself becomes more fragmented, as diversity increases, as it becomes harder and harder for people to see the coherence between various parts of their lives, this sort of preaching moment becomes even more important, not less important. Instead of just simply being just another fragmentary bit in the kind of input that's happening in people's lives, this is the possible moment when more things can be brought together. I think it's one of the reasons why in many of the churches on the edge, which are some of the churches that I study, preachings and sermons are becoming more important, not less important to the life of the congregation, because it's the place where a more sense of the singularity of community life and of our planning together, the leadership that a pastor has in a congregation, where it comes to a point. It's the one place where the minister has the most opportunity to interact with the most people with a singular message at one time. And so it has this unique position. And therefore, in many of the churches that I follow, the leaders, the pastors, the ministers would say, the most important thing that I can prepare for, the most important thing that I do every week is preaching. It's a new and rather interesting phenomenon. A number of years ago, I remember the conversations about preaching that basically said that preaching was probably going to, as we knew it, was probably going to go away. And in actual fact, it has not gone away. The very opposite has taken place. And in some of these very edgy kinds of congregations where you would expect there to be all kinds of glitz and fragmentary thises and that's, those are the places where you end up having these huge long sermons. The sermons are not getting shorter, they're getting longer. And and you have to ask yourself now, why is that happening? And my response is the fact that this becomes that moment when a whole congregation together is being influenced to grow together in their love for God, to grow together in their love for one another, to grow together in their love for the work of Christ in the world, and to do so in a much more unified way, despite their diversity of experiences, often diversity of even cultures within the same congregation.